Welcome to our presentation tonight. My name is Laura Depesh, and I'm the proud third-generation owner of Bursch Travel. We are a regional family-owned travel management company with a long history of helping adventurers like you discover the world. And I'm not sure we could find a better place to create those memories for you than in Antarctica. I see the names and faces of a lot of our current clients, so thank you. That means that we've earned your trust and you're coming back for more. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Bursch Travel, my grandparents started the company back in 1956. They ran the Bus Depot Cafe in Alexandria, Minnesota. And as they got to know a lot about bus tickets, they then learned about airline tickets and decided to finally make the jump from cooking food to booking flights. So right now we have 13 offices and over 65 employees, believe it or not. And they're all ready to craft that perfect journey for you, whether that be in Antarctica in February or maybe Mexico this spring break. Tonight, I am absolutely thrilled to introduce you to the Antarctic Explorer. This is a cruise that our very own Terry Bursch is going to be leading a group of lucky travelers to, like I said, in February of 2026. It's absolutely spectacular. I don't think there's any way that we can fully explain Antarctica to you, but I know Taylor's going to try to. So like I said, we have over 65 employees. They know so many places around the world, but they can't be experts in every single destination. So a destination, especially like Antarctica, we go to the people who are the experts. Quark expeditions are the experts in the polar regions. So tonight we have Taylor Hess. He's going to lead you into all the details of what they do to make your experience there absolutely phenomenal. And at the very end, if he hasn't touched on something or if you have any questions, there'll be a live Q&A. So either throw your questions in the chat or keep them to yourselves and you can ask them at the end. But we really want to make sure that this is an educational experience for you and get you as excited about Antarctica as we are. So Taylor, take it away, please.
All right, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So yes, my name is Taylor. I'm with Quark Expeditions. We're polar specialists, and we're here to talk to you about this fantastic trip that we've partnered with Bursch Travel in order to do to the Antarctic Peninsula. And this is such a weird, funky, unique, remote place that maybe it's somewhere you're not familiar with or have some questions about, or you just don't know how it works to do polar expeditions. So that's what I'm hoping to kind of share with you today. So I was going to talk a little bit about, who Quark Expeditions is, to make sure you know kind of what this company is you may have never heard of. And then we'll talk a little bit about the trip itself, kind of what to expect, what the day-to-day and what the itinerary looks like. And then afterwards, I want to show you a little bit about the ship itself so you can understand what type of ship we're talking about, because it's very different than a regular cruise ship with a very different experience. So with that, I'm just going to kind of dive in. Just Terry, John, quick thumbs up. Can you see my screen okay? Perfect, thanks. So my name is Taylor. I'm based in Denver, Colorado, and I've been in the travel industry for 15 years, and it's always been an adventure and expedition. I've been lucky to go on several expeditions to Antarctica, the Arctic area, and South Georgia Island, various places around Antarctica as well. So I absolutely love it. I'm totally passionate about this. Been doing this for years. So today we're talking about a special trip that we're putting together with Bursch Travel to the Antarctic Peninsula. It's a 12-day trip that kind of starts out of Buenos Aires and goes down to Ushuaia before crossing to the Antarctic Peninsula. And just to make sure everybody's in the right spot here, that's what we're going to talk about. But first, just a little bit about Quark Expeditions and who we are and what we do. So if you've never heard of us, we are a polar expedition specialist. We've been a leader in polar expeditions since 1990. We've taken more people to Antarctica than anyone else. We've led more expeditions, more unique expeditions, and many big polar milestones. We were actually the first company that ever took people to the geographic North Pole aboard Russian icebreakers in the 90s. So really interesting, really incredible stuff. Not just a cruise company. We truly are kind of innovators and leaders in this space. But operating where we are, it is pure wilderness. There's no infrastructure, there's no docks, there's no ports. It is pure wilderness. So we do everything aboard expedition ships. But now if you'll notice, these are all very small ships as well. These are all under 200 passengers. So what this really kind of means in the polar world, there are different categories and different classifications of ships. And basically, anything over 200 passengers kind of falls into a different category that really has a lot of operational restrictions. So 200 is kind of a magic number in the polar world. And it's not just because Taylor, the guy from Quark Expedition, says smaller ships are better. It's because there actually are legal and operational reasons that ships of certain sizes can and can't do certain things. So 200 is a very important number within the polar expedition space. And that's everything that we operate is in this true expedition class ships. And of course, when we talk about the polar regions, we're talking about Antarctica and the Arctic. We also do some incredible voyages in the north to see polar bears in Greenland and the Canadian Arctic. But today we are principally going to be talking about Antarctica. So, of course, the frozen continent, it's almost completely covered in ice. And when we talk about Antarctica, generally we're talking about the Antarctic Peninsula. So the Antarctic Peninsula is going to be the strip of land that gives us the best access to the southern tip of South America. And we really focus our exploration there for two reasons. One is that it's kind of the best access point because the southern tip of South America just has the best geographical access to it. And two, the Antarctic Peninsula actually has really unique geography to it and hosts the highest concentration of wildlife and geological features in Antarctica. So not only is it the easiest part of Antarctica to get to, it's kind of the most interesting. Huge chunks of Antarctica are just covered with ice sheets. So you get to Antarctica and you just see a big wall of ice and that's it. But the Antarctic Peninsula, interestingly enough, actually used to be connected to South America. It's the Andes Mountains. It's the same mountain range. And about 40 million years ago, a tectonic plate kind of pushed them apart. So that's why you see South America kind of bent that way and Antarctica kind of bent that way. So they used to be connected. So it's Andes Mountains, it's glaciers, and the wildlife concentration there is really phenomenal. So that's kind of why we're talking mainly about the Antarctic Peninsula. So when we do an expedition there, kind of our most popular and I think one of the best voyages to do that, a combination of time and what you get to see is about 10 to 12 days is really the best amount, the perfect amount of time to see and do a lot and really kind of understand everything that Antarctica is about. So this trip would start in Buenos Aires. First off, fantastic city. If anybody's ever spent time in Buenos Aires, I always say, hey, get there a day or two early. BA is a great town, super walkable, lots of great food, cool architecture. BA is just a great spot, just a great attraction on its own. I love Buenos Aires. But we're going to include a private charter flight down to Ushuaia. Ushuaia is the southernmost city in the world, the very southern tip of South America. And that's where we're going to board our ship, the Ultramarine, which I'll tell you about later. From Ushuaia, it's about a 2-day journey across the Drake Passage. Sometimes it can be a little bit shorter, but generally 2 days is kind of like the number we say. I'll talk a little bit about the Drake in a moment, but then we would usually have about 5 or 6 days of exploration along the Antarctic Peninsula. Actually, on this trip, it's going to be 6 or 7 days of exploration along the Antarctic Peninsula before we head back to Ushuaia, and then we fly back to Buenos Aires. So that's kind of the general overview of how a trip like this would work. Now, the first thing to know about this trip, you've heard me talk about the Antarctic Peninsula. Like I said, this is, going to be the main focus. So if you want to set foot on all 7 continents, this is it. This is your shot. This is our main objective is to get to the end of the world and set foot on that continent. But what else is there to do on the Antarctic Peninsula? It's like, well, if you've ever just kind of close your eyes and just try to imagine what Antarctica looks like, what you're probably thinking of is the Antarctic Peninsula, where it's almost completely covered in ice and rock. There's no vegetation there at all. It's just tons of penguins, whales, glaciers, mountains, huge towering icebergs everywhere you go, these big tabular icebergs floating along. It's really just got a special, spectacular places in Antarctica. Of course, the penguins are always the stars of the show. It's kind of penguins every day. And of course, if you want to set foot on 7 continents, this is where we're going to do it, is on the peninsula itself. Now, I really like this picture. It kind of shows us a couple things. First off, it's beautiful. It's glaciers, it's hanging glaciers, it's towering mountains. Because as I said, this is the Andes Mountains, basically. And it's snowy, it's cold. The cold does define Antarctica. But if you look a little bit closer at this picture, you'll see that like this couple here at the front, they've already taken their gloves off. You'll see this guy in front of him. He's already taken his jacket off because when we're going to be visiting there, it's going to be during the austral summer or the South American summer. So it's going to be the warmer, nicer months in Antarctica. So yes, it's cold. No, it's not brutally cold. It's not going to be that bad. Actually, every time I've been to Antarctica, it's been colder in Colorado than it was when I was in Antarctica. And also, you look on the rocks, you'll see penguins. That's just kind of how it is. There's penguins everywhere. And where we're going to be walking and visiting and hiking around, it's generally going to be kind of easy terrain near the coast. So we're not going to be doing any, crazy mountain climbing or hiking huge, huge distances because most of the bays that we're going to be visiting are kind of surrounded by glaciers and mountains. So there's not huge distances where we can walk safely. So most of it's going to be along the coast. Of course, penguins, the colonies of the penguins are right there on the coast. So we generally don't have to hike long distances to get to them. Sometimes we land on our Zodiacs and you just have to walk 100 yards or 200 yards, and then you're right in the middle of 10,000 Adelie penguins. Uh, Whales, if you're hanging out on the observation deck, you'll probably see whales every 15 minutes. They're a really big success story in the Southern Ocean because they were hunted profusely up until the 1960s when it was outlawed. And now the whole area is protected. There's no commercial whaling there at all. And whales in Antarctica are recovering at their biological maximum of 8% per year. So every year we go, it's just more and more whales, more types of whales. It's a really special experience too, and they're close and they're just right there all the time. So that's kind of generally what we're going to be doing on the Antarctic Peninsula, or what the Antarctic Peninsula is kind of all about. And there's some more places that we can visit. There's actually volcanoes, extinct volcanoes there. There's actually some really interesting geology there. We'll see different types of glaciers and icebergs and ice formations there too. So there's much, much more. But first, let's talk a little bit about how we get there. And so, if you've looked at this trip, or if you've talked about or heard people talk about Antarctica, you've probably heard about the Drake Passage, or the famous Drake Passage. So, the reality is there is a strong current that does go around Antarctica in the Southern Ocean, and this is a section of ocean that does have a bit of a reputation of being a tough piece of water. Uh, to be honest with you, I've crossed the Drake several times. Maybe I'm just lucky, but I always seem to get the smoothest crossing of the year. So maybe Terry, you'll just have to have me tag along or something. But there's no correlation between a better month or a worse month, and which months are rougher and which months are smoother. It's just kind of you roll the dice and see what you get. But I'd say about 30% of the time it's calm and it's pretty mild and it's a non-event. 30% of the time it's a little bit of motion, and then maybe 30% you get the Drake shake. But it could be either one. Uh, we have doctors on board that are prepared with motion sickness medications and ginger candies and ginger tea, and we've got all the tricks and we know all the remedies. And to be honest, when we talk about a 2-day crossing of the Drake, the other thing to realize is the first half day. We're getting out of the Beagle Channel, so we're kind of harbored, and it's pretty calm water the first half of the day, and then the last half day we're pretty close to the peninsula. Once you're on the actual Antarctic Peninsula, there's barrier islands and it's pretty calm waters once we're kind of inside the channels close to the peninsula. So if it's calm the first half day and it's calm the last half day, it's really just kind of that middle 24 hours that can be a little bit bumpy sometimes. But either way, I like the Drake. I like crossing it. It's exciting. It's an adventure. The anticipation just kind of builds every hour because you wake up on the second day and you see your first iceberg drift by, and then by the time it's dinner time, it's just like tons of icebergs flying past you, and you start seeing whales and you start seeing more albatross, and everybody on the ship is just getting more and more excited, and you see land finally, and I don't know, it's just an exciting experience for me. I really enjoy crossing the Drake. And while we're on the ship, we've got our experts doing lectures about glaciers and penguins and polar history, and are these incredible experts giving some incredible uh, materials to learn about. And the ship's just beautiful. It's just a great space to hang out in. So, what is a typical day on an expedition ship? So, a word you don't hear me say is cruise, because this is not really a cruise ship. An expedition ship works a little bit differently. And if anybody here's ever been on an African safari, it kind of feels a little bit more similar to that than it feels like a typical cruise ship. So, generally, we wake up in the morning, we'll have a wake up call, and breakfast is ready. And then we'll kind of hop off to do our first off-ship excursion, maybe like 9:30 in the morning, depending on weather and conditions and where we're going and what we're doing and things. Um, our first off-ship experience, it could be a landing at a penguin colony. We could be visiting a scientific research station. It's generally going to be like 1 to 3 hours, depending on, the climate and ice conditions and weather conditions and what we're doing and so forth. And then we'll come back to the ship, warm up a little bit, lunch is ready, uh, kind of heat up, have a cup of coffee, relax for a little while because we want to go back out again in the afternoon. So after we reposition the ship or made some adjustments, we'll go back out in the afternoon. Maybe we saw a pod of orcas hunting, and so we'll get on the Zodiacs and we'll do a Zodiac cruise and we'll follow the orcas around. Yeah, again, 1 to 3 hours, depending on conditions and weather and ice and wind and things like that before we come back to the ship for the evening. And then on the evening, we'll kind of have a recap of some interesting things we did today. We'll have some of our experts give some lectures. Maybe we saw a leopard seal hunt. So we'll do a quick session about a leopard seal, or maybe we saw a unique type of hanging glacier. So our glaciologist or geologist will do a neat session about glaciers. So that's what we would do. And then after that, it's going to be a beautiful dinner, full service, 5-course dinner, and then just relax and enjoy the evening on our beautiful expedition ship. So that's kind of what a general day is like. And of course, no two trips are the same because every time we do this, the weather conditions are different, the wildlife conditions are different, the ice conditions are different. So really every trip it's completely unique. So when you look at the materials, it never says we will go here. It says we could go here, we could go there. But we have a big list of objectives that we're trying to reach, and we will go and do wherever we need to go and whatever we need to do to achieve as many of those objectives as possible. And then we include a lot more. So if you want to compare this to a traditional cruise ship, we are all inclusive. A traditional cruise ship where you kind of have to pay every single time you step off the ship. Whereas with an expedition, it's just we're going to include as much stuff as possible. We're going to get you off the ship as many times as possible, and everything is included. And when I say everything, even these beautiful yellow jackets that you see in all the photos, that is going to be your expedition parka. That is also included with the price. It's yours to keep. Um, so whenever you make your booking, just tell us what size you are, and your jacket will be waiting for you in your cabin upon your arrival on the Ultramarine. And it's yours to keep. They're specially designed for our polar expeditions. And then we include the Zodiac cruising. If you've heard me say the word Zodiac, it's those inflatable landing craft that you see. So if you're doing an African safari and you're staying in the lodge and going off on the jeeps, this is kind of our exploration vehicle that we're going to primarily use. The landings, the hikes, the photography, helicopters. We're going to talk about helicopters in a moment. And then, of course, the world famous polar plunge. Not mandatory, not obligatory, but highly recommended. If you want to join the Polar Plunge Club. I'm proudly a bipolar plunger. I've plunged in both poles. In Colorado, we call it type 2 fun. Like it's not fun when it happens, but looking back on it, it's a story and it's a memory for a lifetime. So I always do the polar plunge. And then on our expedition team, we're going to be accompanied by world-class expedition guides. And our expedition guides, Quark actually hangs our hat on having the highest guide to guest ratio in the expedition industry. So we have a guide for every 6 people on board, and they are world-class experts on ornithology or geology or marine biologists. Many of them are PhD studied. We have kayaking guides. We have heli hiking specialists that are going to be aboard the ship with us. They're going to be on deck in the observation lounge, hanging out in the dinner table, telling orca stories and telling polar bear stories. They really are, absolute stars of the shows, incredible, and they are the best in the industry by far. Other things that we could be doing some landings. If you want to go down, you'll see the penguins down by the beach. If you want to take a little optional walkabout up, you can. It's not mandatory. I'm a photographer. I pretend to be a photographer. I'm a terrible photographer. So I'm more the like hang out by the beach and just take a billion pictures of, of the same penguin over and over again. So I'm not usually with the hikers. I'm usually lagging behind in the slow contemplative group. But we'll kind of split people up based on, how fast you want to go, what your interests are. If you're more into bird watching, go hang out with the ornithologist. If you're into photography, hang out with the expedition photographer, and they'll find, the good photo spots for the penguins and such. Zodiac cruising. So we spend a lot of time on these zodiacs, and when I went on my first expedition, I was really excited for the landings, and I thought that just doing zodiac cruising was just kind of the filler that we do in between. But it turns out I enjoyed the zodiac cruising more than I enjoyed the landings, because there we're getting close and going in between these towering icebergs, and we get to follow the whales and get close to seals and get close to orcas, and uh, I don't know. I just find it really exciting being on a Zodiac, and I love it, and it's relaxing and it's beautiful. And then, as I said, in the evenings, we'll have lectures and briefings on board with our expert expedition staff. They're phenomenal and super captivating, very exciting, and very educational. And then on the ship that we're going to be traveling on, the Ultramarine, there's actually going to be helicopters involved. So the ship we're on has two helicopters. These are Airbus H-145s, if that means anything at all to you. Basically, these are twin engine European search and rescue helicopters that we have kitted out for marine polar operations. They are kind of the Ferrari of the light helicopter world. They're amazing for our mission. There's two of them on board, and you will fly on those at least once, sometimes twice, depending on, wind and weather and clouds and things like that. But we will guarantee at least one 15 to 20-minute flight seeing trip with as many more opportunities as we're able to kind of cram in there. But everybody's going to do it. No one pays extra. That's also included with the base price. Really great experience. So yeah, this is actually when I flew. I actually got to ride shotgun, so I was in the co-pilot spot. So maybe one of you lucky folks will fly up front. I actually took this picture with my iPhone. Like, this is what you're flying over. This it's just how beautiful it is. It's just ice, and we were watching whales, and we're watching glaciers calve, and it's just a special, spectacular experience. And a cheat code for incredible photographs. Mouthwatering cuisine going to be included. We can talk more about food, but uh, short story is it's fantastic food, and we can accommodate really any dietary restrictions with, vegetarians, pescatarians, gluten-free, vegan, etc. So we can accommodate most dietary requests. And all the food is included, as well as alcohol, soft drinks, coffee, beer, wine, everything's included. Now, optional activities, there are a few optional activities if you're interested. These would be things like kayaking. We do have a really great kayaking program where you can go out kayak every day that we're able to. We also have what we call a paddling program. These are like inflatable sit-top kayaks. Really no experience is required. Almost anybody can do this. I really enjoy this. I always recommend it. I think it's like $295 or $395 dollars extra, but a really cool experience to you know go through the silence in between the icebergs on a kayak. Stand-up paddle boarding, if anybody's interested. These are just some of the things that are optional. But now let's talk about our ships a little bit. So I briefly touched on the types of ships that we operate. And Quark Expeditions, we operate the newest and the most modern and the most technologically advanced purpose-built expedition ships. So these ships are specifically designed for our missions that we're doing. And the ship that we are specifically going to be working with the Bursch group is the Ultramarine. And this is the absolute Ferrari Formula One expedition ship in the expedition world. There's a neat story behind it. This ship was actually designed by our expedition staff. We gave them a wish list and we said, hey, if you could design the ultimate perfect expedition ship, what would it have? And all the, big things like helicopters, but even little things just about like how the ready rooms are designed and how the Zodiacs launch from a platform. It was actually designed specifically by our expedition team for our expeditions specifically. And there's no other ship in the world like it. It is one of one, truly unique vessel. It holds up to 199 passengers. It is, a class 1A PC6 ice rating, if that means anything at all to you. Basically, just don't worry about ice. It'll handle the big stuff without a problem. But the ship is a luxury ship. It's all suites. Most of the rooms have balconies, but we do have some non-balcony rooms at kind of an entry price point. But the balconies are really fantastic value. All suites. Most of the rooms are going to be like this, with plenty of room and a sitting area, and just really well designed. Tons of space, lots of light, beautiful, gorgeous ships. We have some upgraded premium cabins available too, if anybody kind of wants the penthouse suite or anything like that. But these are, fully functional bathrooms. There's heated floors, which is really nice after a cold day out on a Zodiac. Or what I learned quickly is if you ever get your wet gloves, I just throw my gloves on the hot floor at lunchtime, and by the time I'm done with lunch, my gloves are nice and dry and toasty again. So little details like that are really spectacular. Beautiful showers. It's great. The dining room. There's actually two restaurants on board. So one is this kind of full service, beautiful dining room with the panoramic windows everywhere. And then we also have a more casual dining room that offers the same great quality meals, just in a bit more casual setting. So I've done a couple of our longer expeditions to like South Georgia Island, and I've been on the ship, and after 13, 14 days of dinners that are 2 hours or 2.5 hours long, sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I just want to get my soup and salad and my sandwich and go chill in my room a little bit. So we have a casual dining room for that. But the great thing about the ship, here's one of our another lounge spaces. But the thing to understand, I talk about luxury and I talk about comfort, but the actual atmosphere on ship, it's a very relaxed, very casual atmosphere. So there's no dress code. You can go eat dinner in Crocs and a hoodie if you want, and we totally encourage that. We want you to be comfortable. So it's a very relaxed, casual kind of, but very comfortable, very high service on the ship too. So a great thing to kind of keep in mind. Our travelers, they like that. They don't want a dress code for dinner. Spa, sauna also included, free for you to use during sauna hours. I love even the sauna has like floor to ceiling panoramic windows. That's actually where my wife and I saw our first whale together, was sitting there on that sauna. Big, beautiful outdoor viewing areas, great for photography and bird watching. The ready rooms, we have these perfectly designed locker rooms where you can hang your expedition parka and the boots. So we're gonna loan you also those boots included, so you've got like all the right gear to land. Really, you just need to bring like waterproof pants, but we got the locker rooms kind of perfectly designed for you and everybody. And then, of course, the Ultramarine, this is the ship that has the two helicopters. There's the helicopter deck up on deck 8, where we will hop off and hop on. And I tell you what, landing on a helicopter, while it's snowing it's on a ship in Antarctica surrounded by icebergs. It's a pretty cool kind of Top Gun moment. You feel like such a superhero when you do it, but it's a really fun, really great experience. And then the last thing just to share about Quark is that we do have a really big sustainability program. So it's really just about, we're a leader and a pioneer in the polar space. So anything regarding sustainability, waste management, and keeping a positive impact on where we're going, there's a lot that goes into that. And Quark is actually on the governing body of operators that set the rules. So you can really kind of rest assured and know that not only is Quark following the rules, but we're making the rules to ensure that it's responsible travel and we're protecting these beautiful destinations as best we can. So with that, I know that was a lot of information. Um, but with that, I want to kind of pass it back over to you and see what kind of questions you have. I've got time for a little while, and I want to make sure that if anybody has questions, now's a great time to chat.
I mean, my first question is, can I go tomorrow?
That was what I was thinking too. Oh my
I'm
goodness,
sold.
it's amazing.
Yeah. So it's a
Uh,
short season. It's only November to March. That's another thing with Antarctica. Like we can't even operate there yet because the weather's extreme. So it's a short window. So only from November to March is kind of the time that we go.
Fair
Mm.
enough.
But let's
Um,
go.
well,
Yeah.
while I wait for some questions in the chat box, or if anybody wants to raise their hand and chime in, I'm going to give Terry just a minute to say hello, introduce herself so you can see who is going to be your leader on this incredible cruise. I wish it was myself, but Terry, you get to take the honors. So go ahead.
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Taylor, for that excellent explanation about this amazing adventure. Yes, I am Terry Bursch, and I have been with actually a part of the Bursch travel family since 2008, or actually 2004, when I met Laura's dad. And so I am so excited to be your host. I'm just excited to see this, and this just makes me so, I mean, it's like I want to go tomorrow. So, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. I mean, for you to take your time to listen to the presentation, and I hope this sparked a lot of excitement for you, and I hope you'll join us and me on this wonderful adventure. So, yeah, I just wanted to say hi, and I'm excited to be your host.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry. One of the questions we have is, we've got the name Quark Expeditions, and this is Antarctic Explorer. How fit do I need to be? Like, do I need to be training so that way I'm ready for this trip in a year, or is this, I can, casually walk on board?
Honestly, like my mom can do these. These are trips that are really designed for everybody. There's really no physical demand level needed. The biggest thing is just you need to be able to walk. Unfortunately, because these are smaller ships, we do not allow wheelchairs on board, and that's just because of a ship and a size and the design kind of thing, and also in the event of an emergency. So you do need to be able to walk. But that's about it. And the great thing is the penguins, they make their colonies right there on the coast. So you don't have to go dig, you don't have to go hike in for them. You land and you walk a, couple hundred yards and there you are, they're right there. So physically it's really very easy. The zodiacs, if you can go from your couch and then go down to your floor and then back up to your couch again, that's about what you need to get in and out of a zodiac. So we make it very easily and accessible for everybody.
Perfect. So how about ages, though? You said your mom can do it. Are kids coming along with, what's the age demographic?
So
Demographic.
the minimum age is 8 years old.
Okay.
8 years old is
Perfect.
the minimum.
My kids were wondering.
And we have some rooms that are adjoining. So if you have like a family of 4, where we could do like 2 adjoining rooms and
Okay.
adjoining balconies as well.
All right. And solo travelers, if we have anybody who wants to travel by themselves, but we be with our group, so you have kind of the best of both worlds, is that an option?
Absolutely. So we have 3 really good options for solo travelers. So one, on the Ultramarine, there are 6 solo panorama cabins. So these are solo traveler cabins that are a great price for a single traveler. 2 is that we have a room share program, so we can match you up with another traveler. So you don't have to pay a single supplement. You don't have to pay extra. So we can match you up with another traveler that also is looking to kind of get that low price. Or you can pay a single supplement and get a private cabin to yourself. So for a single traveler, we have 3 great options for you.
Perfect. Well, one other person I want to introduce before we cut this off for the night is John Gosson. John is our Vice President of Groups Travel at Bursch Travel. John, you know why people should travel with us, but give them the short version.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, hi everybody. I've been with Bursch Travel for, I just counted it, and I'm amazed, 32 wonderful years. It's been a fantastic ride. So, and this, I want to tell you up front that when we started planning this, not only did I get excited, but just digging into it, Quark just came right to the front of the top of the list of the expedition that I thought would be just a wonderful experience for Bursch Travel. So I'm super excited. Excuse me, my team of 4. I have 4 group advisors that will assist you, but we're ready to just take any questions or calls as you come in. And yeah, just looking forward to the adventure. I wish I was going with. I'm jealous of Terry. Yeah, so but we're super excited to experience it with you. So again, thank you for everybody that did show up tonight. It's going to be a wonderful journey. Hope you come with us.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
I'm sorry. I do have one quick question though. I should ask this, Taylor. So packing. You mentioned that the boots are and the jacket are coming, but what would be the limitations on packing on a trip like this?
Right. So the jacket is yours to keep. The boots are on board, and those are yours to borrow. So you're kind of set with the big stuff there. On board the ship, there's tons of space, so you can bring full-size roller suitcase, fits under the bed easy. Really, we're just kind of limited by the charter flight. I think it's like 22 kilos or 50 pounds per person. You'll have the exact amount. So it's basically like one big full roller suitcase is about what it kind of works out to. But what you need to bring, so like I said, we give you the parka and the boots. The big thing you'll need is waterproof pants. Or kind of a big one, because if it's a little snowy and you're sitting on the Zodiac, you're just kind of sitting in sloshy and it gets a little splashy on the Zodiac. So waterproof pants are required. And then after that, it's just kind of normal winter accessories, some gloves, a hat. I like those buffs. Those little tubes are awesome on the Zodiacs. If you're just getting blasted in the face by snow and wind, those are really, really handy. I usually keep 2 pairs of gloves, like one kind of light gloves and one kind of medium glove, like ski gloves. That are waterproof, and light ones just to hang around the ship, or if I'm stepping out for to take a picture or something, is really nice. A pair of thermals underneath your waterproofs and stuff like that is pretty fine. And then of course on the ship, it's pretty casual. It's jeans and hiking pants and just a comfortable pair of sneakers just to wear around the ship is really welcome. I'll bring like one nice shirt, if we're having the captain's toast on the last night, is always a nice to have a good celebration at the end of a voyage.
I love it. Well, and if you're missing any of that gear, somebody asked at the beginning, and that was a good reminder. If you book this group with Terry within the next week, we're going to give you $100 REI gift card where you can buy those waterproof pants, where you can get an extra pair of thermals. I know we have a lot of Minnesota people on this call, so they're probably fine.
It's like, you guys have gloves, right? Like in Minnesota, you guys have winter hats, right? I'm pretty sure. So,
Right.
Exactly.
But yeah, sign up soon and we'll give you $100. So get you some nice good stuff.
Perfect. I put the link to our website in the chat, but as always, you can visit our website. It's www.burschtravel.com. Not only do we have Terry's, oops, as I'm spilling glasses here, not only do we have our group information about Antarctica, but all of John's other groups throughout the next couple of years are listed there as well. You can reach out to the advisor that you're already working with, or just reach out to the contact information and we'll find the perfect person to work with. But Taylor, thank you again. This was an incredible night. Appreciate you all for joining the recording of this. So if you loved this presentation enough and you want to send it to your friends and family who are going to be traveling with you, this recording will be on our YouTube page. So come find us on YouTube, find us on our website, and then in February, come find us in Antarctica.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Thanks.
great night.
Bye.
Bye.